Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Iceberg Lounge. I am your host, Thomas Engel. With me in chair number 2 is the other host, Randy Dobbins.
Hello.
And in this episode, we're going to be covering part 4 of the Batman Fortnite 0 Point story. So we're going to stop right here for a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back with 0 Point Part 4.
Hey, this is Thomas Engel from the Iceberg Lounge, and I'm here to talk to you today about Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and guess what? It's absolutely free, which you can use right from your cell phone or computer just like I do. They even have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds amazing. They'll even distribute your podcast for you. You don't even have to do it yourself. So it can be heard everywhere, from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with minimum listenership. So why don't you download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And we're back. So let's get started with part 4 as we open up where part 3 leaves off. Part 3 introduces Deathstroke into the story, and it seems like he has captured Catwoman and brought her back into the loop. But this time, Batman realizes that they're able to speak.
Which is interesting because why haven't they been able to speak before?
Exactly. So, is it kind of like one of those things where they're being allowed to speak by whoever's controlling the island, or are they able to speak now due to the fact that they have escaped the loop? But on page 2, we see basically Batman and Catwoman teaming up to try to take out Deathstroke. But Deathstroke is basically saying, this isn't necessary. Like, he ends up surrendering his katana to Batman as like almost like a sign of like, hey, trust me, I'm being serious. Like, this isn't necessary.
Yeah, kind of like, hey, I don't want to do. I'm kind of being forced to do it.
Yeah, it almost seems like he had to capture Catwoman to get his attention. Even Batman was like, wait, this could be a trap.
Yeah.
So
because Deathstroke's like, yeah, I see how you think so, but I'm just protecting myself. But what is he protecting himself from?
yeah, and he even says this right below that. He goes, people usually come out of the loop hostile. And Batman's like, the loop? And Deathstroke was like, you have been trapped in a time loop that resets every 22 minutes or so, along with your memory. You escaped, but there's an adjustment. I guess when you escape, there's an adjustment time where you're still hostile because I guess you're used to automatically fighting. And Catwoman was basically saying, he's not lying. I came out a few days ago. I've been hiding, getting lay of the land.
And there's something I just noticed about this. You know where Batman is like holding his head?
Yeah.
Like, after she said, like, about the whole like there's an adjustment.
Yeah.
You can see like parts of like the first two comics. Like you see where they're riding off in the boat, where Harley Quinn, where they're kissing, and you even say Modest.
Yeah, and this is interesting because it looks like he's getting all of the memories back. Like he's being allowed to remember all this.
Yeah.
Because before this, he didn't remember anything from the past comics. Only thing he remembered was emotional memory.
Yeah.
Um, like right here it says Catwoman. It took a bit longer to happen to me. Those are your memories of every loop you've experienced, all coming back at once. So every loop he has been is hitting him at once in just a major memory recall that would probably feel like a headache, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair, it'd probably feel like 10 excruciating migraines.
Oh, yeah. And even Batman in the next panel was like, Cat, I remember now, but nothing before the island. So it seems like he still has memory loss
From
from
before.
from before he got sent to the island, but he remembers now everything he's experienced on the island. And even Deathstroke said
That doesn't.
basically that those memories won't come back.
Yeah.
So now everything that he happened before this island is gone. Like alliances, fights, villains, like he won't remember like at all.
And so it brings that to point. Would it be better for him to go back to Gotham or stay here?
Yeah, and it seems like at this point it'd probably be best for him to stay here because, like, once he goes back to Gotham, everything's going to be new, and
Exactly.
maybe that's why you are usually hostile coming out of the loop is because you don't remember anything from before the island.
Exactly.
And see, Deathstroke says right here, right below that, if we're to discover who we are, where we came from, and how to get back there, we'll have to work together too. Um, so apparently, Deathstroke doesn't remember who he is, where he came from, or how to get back there. But do we necessarily believe this or not? I don't know. Um, I feel like he could be acting at this point.
Because he goes on to Batman goes on to say that him and Catwoman earned each other's trust, but he hasn't, and that he doesn't recall him in the loop.
Exactly. And so Deathstroke says, I got out weeks ago. So Deathstroke has been on the island before this. So this isn't his first time on the island.
Yeah.
And he says, pure luck, really. Killed everyone else and happened to be the exact center of the storm. But here's the thing. How were you able to get back in onto the island?
Yeah. With how was he able if he's been out for weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it was pure luck, right? Like he said. How
Yeah.
did he find Cat? Why did he automatically grab Catwoman after weeks and come back?
Yeah, see, that to me is a big red flag of I don't think I could trust this dude because it seems like you know more than you do simply because you basically took Catwoman hostage and brought her back onto the island. And that's just strange to me. And then Catwoman looks like she's about to take her whip and attack Deathstroke. And then all of a sudden, looks like a harpoon gun, and someone off says, "And I'm not the first." And it looks like these other characters have escaped the loop and seem to be on Deathstroke's team. We have
Fish stick.
Fish Stick. We have
Renegade Raider.
yeah, is it Magnus? I think it's Magnus.
Yeah, it is Magnus.
Uh
Bandol-
Bayonet, Eternal Voyager.
I can't remember that last skin's name. It's
I think it's something Bone. I'm not too sure about that one.
yeah.
But and from the way Fish Stick is standing, it almost looks like Fish Stick is Deathstroke's right hand fish, I guess. And Deathstroke's like, we didn't want to overwhelm you, but we've all been where you are and come to the same conclusion. Some powerful beings brought us here. But if there's a way in, there's a way out. The only way we'll find it is together. Okay, like you say that, but you were out of the loop already, and you brought Catwoman back in the loop. So how do you not know how to get back out?
Exactly. Plus, it seems he brought all these other people with him.
Exactly, and somehow
So,
formed this
so you're telling
whole
me that
group.
there's, counting him, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people counting Deathstroke, and none of them know how to get back.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense because it's just like, Deathstroke, you just came back in the loop with Catwoman. Like, how do you not know how to get back out? Because you're able to talk. All of these characters are able to talk.
Exactly.
Let's see. And they start introducing themselves, basically to each other. We have start having some conflict in between current members, between Bayonet and the character that we don't necessarily know about that I think is like Bone something.
I think it's Bonehead.
Yeah, Bonehead. And it seems like Magnus is kind of the calmer one, which is kind of ironic since he's like a Viking character.
Yeah.
But he's basically yeah, it's Bonehead. Yeah. Trying to keep the peace in the group. And it seems like the other leader of this group might be Raider.
Yeah.
And so you have all these people just talking things out.
Because what's interesting though is Renegade Raider says that others call me Raider. I've been here the longest, almost 4 years.
Yeah, because isn't Raider season
Ra-
1?
Yeah, it's like season 1 because when she was introduced, she they had a season shop where you had to kind of like rank up, and then were able to buy these skins with V-Bucks.
Yeah, so it seems like she almost is like the leader via seniority.
Yeah.
Because she's been on the island the longest, and Fortnite is almost about to be 4 years old. Yeah, and with Fortnite being almost 4 years old, this kind of makes sense.
Because
But
she's never been back to the shop.
it's like if she, because I'm still trying to figure out how they're able to speak. Because if the ability to speak comes after you escape the loop, then why did she come back?
Unless after you escape and you do come back, you still can speak.
Yeah. Unless here's a thought that just popped up in my head. When you escape the loop, you don't escape the island. You just escape the storm.
Maybe.
Meaning that the island is still the island, but it doesn't have a
I ki-
storm chasing you.
I kind of feel like you're right because of what happens in uh book 5.
Yeah, because this that would be the only way this makes sense of Deathstroke capturing Catwoman is if they both escape the loop, but when you escape the loop, you're still on the island. You're just not having to worry about the storm. Um. So let's see. Uh. Okay. So going on to the next page. Let me get there. All right. Batman even, is able to talk now because he escaped the loop. It seems. Um, he even goes, Raider, is it 4 years? You've had the most time to explore. What do you know? And she
Yeah.
literally says, well, let's start with the obvious. This is the whole world. The island is the whole world of Fortnite. Um, there's nothing beyond this island. Which then comes to the point, is Fortnite's island like a flat earth? Um, simply because, you know, it if there's nothing beyond the island, and there's not really, which if you take in the Galactus event, there is, you could probably say, curvature to the Fortnite world because he was walking heading this way, and there was seemed to be a curve factor to it. But basically, they're trapped to a certain point on the island. Because you go far enough by air or water, there's nothing, a void, as if gravity and atmosphere vanishes. So I almost want to say that this might be a flat Fortnite Earth.
What I think is it's flat, but for whatever reason, there's some sort of barrier
Yeah,
that you can't, for whatever reason, cross.
exactly. Um, and even here, after they kind of talk about how you can't go past a certain way, on the next page, there have she's Raider goes, there have also been events. I call them natural disasters. But at least some were definitely not natural. And you see up here, there has been a meteor event at some point.
I feel like that's the volcano event
Yeah, from season 8. I feel like that is too. Um, then you look right here and you have the event from
from
season
season
2
2.
where Midas is trying to escape the loop. Um, and she even says one was a device clearly made by intelligent beings, intelligent and with vast resources.
She also says, Batman asks, where did it originate? Raider goes, a structure on a small island in a lake and it was just there one day.
Like it just popped out of the blue. And honestly,
It,
to us as the player, she's right. It just pops up. Because one day it's not there in season 1, and then the next day it's there.
yeah.
Pops up out of nowhere. Uh, she even says right here, we tried to get close, but security was too tight. Then something happened. The device appeared, then a plume of pure energy. Now there's a tower there, referencing that this is happening
in season 6.
season 6 of chapter 2 because of the spire.
Yeah.
And then Batman says, let's back up a bit. So this does confirm that at least in issue number 4, that the tower is still there before the alien invasion.
Yeah.
Head to the next page. She says right here she's found some interesting stuff. She's even said, is this her? Let's see. I know Batman on this one says, this looks pretty old. I'm not sure if this image represents some kind of religion or what. Okay, so yeah, this is Batman. But it looks like people being taken from somewhere else and brought here by those godlike figures. So it's showing what looks like now to be the 0 point, basically sucking people in to this island.
To be fair, how do we know it's not the 0 point? In it could be 0 point, but how we know it's not in aliens?
I would say it's probably not. Simply because it is in a form of what looks like a ball on the rock. That's the only reasoning I would come from that.
Yeah.
And obviously the leaders of whoever the imagined order is being those two people. And right here, Fish Stick, first time we get to see words from him, said they're coming from different portals, presumably different locations. Some of us could come from the same place, which that would be making sense because they would be coming from the same place if they're in the same set.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like, Eternal Voyager is in the same set as the other Voyager skins from Chapter 1, Season 4.
Yeah. And say, obviously, all the DC skins would be from the same universe.
Same thing with Marvel and Star Wars.
Exactly. But based on technology and biology, some clearly, and then Eternal Voyager did not agree. And let's see.
What Fishstick says after a Voyager said did not agree is feel like I shot at Batman.
Yeah, because he said, yeah, we figured that out. No offense, but you're obviously not the world's greatest detective or anything. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good zinger from Fish Stick. And so basically Batman's like, hey, we're gonna re-explore the island and the areas around it. And so they pretty much make the plan. Batman's basically saying that Fish Stick's gonna take the water.
I love how my favorite thing from this comic is Fishstick saying, Fishstick, they call me. I get the feeling I should find it offensive, but the whole place offends me, so.
Yeah, I feel like Fish Stick in this app is not app, but comic is supposed to be the comedic relief. And he is a very lovable character. So, and Voyager is going to be taking the skies. Let's see. The rest will divide up into sectors. So Fish Stick takes the water. Voyager takes the skies. The rest of them will divide up into sectors and basically search the island of their respective places. Um, and then they're supposed to meet back where they're at nightfall each day and compare notes, or basically each loop. Um, well, no, not each loop because they're out of the loop. What am I saying? Um, so they're gonna map out and search grids based on what they already know about the island. And so it looks like obviously the bat and the cat are gonna stick together on the next page, and obviously we're gonna get little romantic vibes here and there when it comes to them two. Let's see. Literally, she goes, "So, what was that earlier? That helpless, oh my, I've got the vapors distorted act." And Batman was basically saying, "I felt it necessary that we talked." And she even says, "Be still my heart." Obviously, they're flirting because they still have that connection emotionally. Um, and she says, "We may not know where we're from, but clearly the same place. The connection between us from the moment we've got here is undeniable." That's what Batman was saying. But then Catwoman was like, "Sure, but what is it? Are we friends, enemies, co-workers, husband and wife?" Which technically in DC they have been husband and wife. Um, And as you can see, they look like they're about to kiss at the bottom of the page.
No, they don't, because heroes don't do that.
Randy. uh, if y'all don't know, that's from the Harley Quinn TV show controversy that has been going on. But yeah, it's funny how that's going on, and we just saw this here in the comic. So this is, we fast forward days later, and I'm trying to. I think this is Batman speaking. He says, "All right, these artifacts reinforce our working theory. This island isn't natural. It was created with certain properties. So we know from previous comics that the storm isn't natural. That it seems controlled."
That Batman said himself that the storm feels manipulated, and he feels manipulated.
And now this is almost proving that even the island is not natural either. Because he says, for example, we understand each other's words, even whose psychologies and likely origins are vastly different. So it's like, even though they are from different worlds, somehow they're still able to understand each other.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because why would Batman be able to understand a bipedal fish?
Exactly.
Things seem to come to this island one of two ways, either from other worlds or from underground, which is very interesting. So they're either coming from other worlds or from underground. And if we look here, we have what looks like a metal part. We have that stone with those paintings on it. We have a piece of what I think is the meteorite.
Wait, you know what that metal piece kind of looks like now that I look at it?
What?
It kind of looks like the vault from the Season 8 event.
True. Even though it's extremely small, it kind of does.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying
Then it looks like
similar.
a piece of paper. Don't really know what that part is.
It's part of the Batman Fortnite comic book 6.
Yeah, book 6. And then they go back talking about the chapter 2, season 2 device. Saying this device that rose up and the tower that replaced it. So we have the tower from season 2 of chapter 2. And I'm going to go back and kind of look at this picture. If you look, the 0 point, I never noticed this, the 0 point was on top of the device.
Yeah.
And I never realized that till now.
I never did either.
So the device was using the 0 point to back the storm off. And so,
wait, that means that if it was on top of it, that was what was in Midas's room in season 2.
Which would mean Midas would have been underground. And what is also underground?
What we're about to get into, I presume.
Yes. Which would mean Midas, the theory that's been floating around about Midas being with the IO, I mean, is kind of showing to be true, and this might have been his way of rebelling against the IO, and they took him out. But let's see. And so, at this exact place where the 0 point is, if we remember, the device went back into the ground along with the 0 point. And the next time we see this location, that is presumably in the middle of the map, was when it got exposed by Galactus.
Yep.
And then we see it again when Jonesy jumps in it to enter, all this stuff in season 5. So we can say that the 0 point, when it then becomes the tower, is coming up from the middle of the map where it has been at this season. This chapter. But I will bring up a question. I think it's going to be in issue 5 related to the 0 point that doesn't make sense to me, considering the story we have so far. But Batman is saying you're digging in the wrong place. We can't open rifts, which leaves one option. And right here, Bonehead goes, we've explored it. It's impenetrable, and the energy it gives off fries any tech, so I wouldn't get too close. So the pylons surrounding it once rose. It's just like they were never there. No seams, nothing. And then Batman looks over at this hatch. I have no idea still where this hatch is located on the map. No idea
where
at
you're
all.
looking to where they're towards, I think it's the one, because there's only 3 on the map.
Yeah.
It's not, so that it has to be the one behind Retail Row, because it's not the one underwater, and it's not the one where Explode was.
Exactly.
So it has to be the one behind Retail.
And I think you're right on this, Randy. And so this is the moment all OG Fortnite fans have been waiting for. The opening of the bunkers. We've been waiting for the purpose of the bunkers since chapter 1.
Season 4. Because Weeping Woods, God, I remember play started playing, and season 4 rolls out, and I'm like, what are these bunkers for? And it took 3 years to figure it out.
Yeah, this has been the longest reveal of like lore, it seems like, ever. Um Basically, it seems that whoever controls this place seems unlikely to have design hatches that only open from one side. And this is Batman talking. And then Batman says, patterns of behavior are something I feel I've studied. Our puppet masters wouldn't chance getting trapped out here. Which would be true. And then he has this device. Don't know where he found it or where he got it from.
Could have been on his utility belt.
True. He says, my device can analyze and replicate energy frequencies. We could theorize that the hatches are designed to open for whoever they are and not us. There's something about them they recognize. We need to find out. And so he's basically sending out people to collect energy traces. And they're going to be from various locations, places like the pylons that were helping with the season 2 event from chapter 2, from the spire, fragments of the meteor, and we'll try each particular energy signature on the hatch, even if it takes dozens, hundreds, thousands, and hope that one is the key. And apparently one is. We don't know which one. It doesn't say. It doesn't say which energy source is the key. I kind of would have liked that information. I think that would have been cool with the lore. But they ended up opening the hatchet, and this will be our first view in the bunker.
3 or 4 years in the making, we finally get to see him open. Because I don't know if you know this, but there was a way back in the day during season 4 where you could open it.
Oh yeah, where you were able to sink down in there and kind of get below the map.
Yeah, you would, I think, use a porta fort on it, and then the hatch would break and you can go down there, but you wouldn't be able to get back out.
Yeah, which might have been intended by the creators of like, let's leave them this doorway, but make it to where if they do end up getting in, like, congrats, you got in, but now you can't get out. And so we see Batman calming everyone down, like, we don't know what we're dealing with when we're going down there. So we don't need to rush in there. And then he tells Fishstick to search for underwater signs of traps, security measures that may have been activated. And so there goes Fishstick into the water.
I feel like they should have waited on Fishstick, though, to, like, come back before they went in there.
Yeah, for someone who's being very cautious about
everything,
he's like, okay, Fishstick, go check this out. And while you're doing that, we're just going to rush in.
Yeah, because he literally tells everybody, we're not going to rush in. The moment Fishstick leaves, it's just like, okay, let's rush in.
And as they get down off of this staircase, we're introduced to what I can call golems. And these golems have symbols on their head, and they're glowing purple.
Wait a minute. What if these are what if these are the same, not the same ones, but they're connected to the rock people that were roaming around back on chapter 1?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The rock family.
Because think about it. We've never seen that before except for that.
True, and the only difference is these have what I call runes on their head, and the other ones didn't.
But who's to
Um,
say that's not the like the prototype?
so it is this power source from Kevin, from that they might have siphoned in from Kevolution Energies, maybe.
I think it could either be from Kevin or it could be from the 0 point. I think it could be from Kevin or the 0 point.
Do you think it also could be possibly from the aliens from season 7? Because we saw in the trailer that somewhere underground on the island was an old spaceship. And
Maybe.
it is canon that they have been here before.
Maybe, but I don't know yet. You know what I mean?
But yeah, me either. And I kind of want to say that I would say it leans more towards Kevin or the 0 point than the aliens.
Because I don't know. Because remember what I told you. From what I saw, it's from that trailer where it. Because I told you. Remember where it could be that alien ship could be, and it could be. A lot of people are saying it's under Kevolution
Energies, yeah.
And which could be where Kevolution is getting their energy.
And that could be where Kevin is from. That Kevin is extraterrestrial, maybe? Some type of energy that has consciousness, maybe?
Yeah.
And
because what are these rocks but energy that has consciousness?
I mean, you got a point. You do have a point. So I kind of feel like now that might be leaning towards maybe a fusion of the alien theory and Kevin theory, possibly. I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. And it looks like the only way to defeat these rock monsters is to chip away and break the stone of where the symbol is. And so now in the next panel, we see Batman saying they didn't feel pain or otherwise act alive, which meant something was animating them and identifying us as intruders. Stay alert, we faked energy signatures of their masters to open the hatch, but it's not in us, so this could happen again. And then Catwoman was like, I think I found the lights. So it looks like we're going deeper into the underground. And then we see here, they're all together, minus Fish Stick, in what they are calling a staging area. Bayonet was like, it's like a staging area where people could gear up to go onto the surface. And then Batman says this interesting thing that says there's evidence of multiple generations of structures here. These columns appear ancient, the golems even older. So it's almost pointing to that the golems are older
than everything on the island.
Than everything on the island. Exactly. So it's just like,
who created the golems?
Exactly. So something has to be animating them.
Yeah.
And then I think it's Raider. Yeah, Raider says, looks like something wrecked the place. The device, maybe the energy plume, could be whatever ran things here. Or it, blah, the device, maybe the energy plume could have wrecked the place. But it seems like whoever ran this place evacuated this area. And so I would say this isn't center map, but maybe under Retail Row at this point, if we're thinking where the bunker is where it is.
Yeah, it would be if not under Retail Row, in the proximity of Retail Row.
Exactly. Because it seems like from what Catwoman said, it's like right near the entrance, so it might be within the mountainous region that is in between.
Yeah.
Batman then splits everyone up to take these different corridors. And they're supposed to meet back there in 3 hours to report. And basically he said if you encounter any hostiles, make as much noise as you can. So they're worried about facing these golems again. So we get to the next page, and this is 40 minutes later. So it hasn't been 3 hours yet. And Catwoman goes explosives. Batman says, would just cause a worse collapse. The rubble is the only thing holding up the ceiling. We should backtrack. So,
but what caused that rubble to fall, and what caused the ceiling to collapse?
Yeah, that's the thing. No telling with the amount of events that's happened in Fortnite. It could be anything at this point.
If they're under the, let's just say hypothetically where they're at right now is center map. That could have been where Galactus reached down and grabbed the center point, 0 point.
Maybe. I don't think they're exactly center map just yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying that could be like a possibility of like what's going on.
But apparently their kind of passageway had a dead end, so they came back to where they were at. And then Batman hears something. And it looks like it was a collapse of rocks. It's coming from under here, he says. And it looks like they uncover all the rubble, and it was Fish Stick. Fish Stick looks hurt pretty bad.
But here's the thing. How long has Fish Stick been there?
It would have had to been in between the 40 minutes.
And how did you end up there if you went to see if there's anything that was triggered?
Well, we'll see in a second, because I think this might be the reason why he was down there. So Batman was asking who did this. Fish Stick says he didn't see. Then Fish Stick goes, no point. Listen, I found something on the seabed buried in the sand. I was bringing it to you. So that's the reason why he's under there.
Yeah.
Was to report what he found buried in the seabed. And it looks like a device. And Batman
says it's heavily rusted and non-functional.
Exactly. But if there's anything left in its storage battery, and he looks at it and he says, yes, energy similar to those at the epicenter of the storm. I think this device can create a field of that energy, which means in theory it could allow some access to the island without being caught in the loop and with their memories intact. So this seems like the key to
getting
be
back
able
in.
To move about the island, to keep memories while doing so, and keep protected from getting caught in the loop again. And Batman keeps going on. He says, this technology and that device resembles the technology here. They were made by the same people. So it looks like the technology underground and that are made by the same people. But all indications are that the people here fled further into the facility. And Batman asked this, why would someone go outside the hatch and close it, then discard this device unless that's not what happened at all. And then Fish Chick goes, someone is lying. They didn't escape the loop. They were never in it. They remember everything. One of us is working for, and that's when Fish Stick canonically dies. And Batman's last words in the comics goes, one of us is working for them. And then we see at the bottom, to be continued. So this is probably, both me and you agree, Randy, this has been the peak of this comic series.
Yes.
This has been the best issue that they have put out to date.
To be honest, it's probably one of the best pieces of lore we've ever gotten for this game.
Yeah, there was so much lore packed into this one issue that, honestly, as you're going to hear in our next part, in our next podcast, makes the next issue kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it seems like this was the peak and we're basically going back down the mountain when it comes to this series. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and stop here, and we just want to thank you for listening and or watching the Iceberg Lounge, whether it's on any of the major podcasting services or on YouTube at Thomas R.J. Ingle. If you would like to support this podcast, go to patreon.com/TRJI, and for $1 a month, you get to see my content before anyone else does. Again, thank y'all for listening. Randy, do you have any last words talking about issue 4 before we send them off here?
Batman simps for Catwoman.
Look, they kind of both simp for each other.
You right.
I mean, they're flirting back and forth, but anyway, always know God loves you and we love you, and always remember, all to God, we will see you in the next episode. All right, man, my aunt's calling, so let me call her back.
Okay.